Hi everybody. Today I'm going to carry on with my decluttering series because I don't know about you, but in your kitchen, have you got a food cupboard like this, full to the brim of different cake and flavouring, spices, herbs, etc. Things that you have got in that cupboard that may actually be out of date, you haven't used for some time. So what I thought, as part of my decluttering series, I'm going to obviously go and show you some solutions for using things up, for getting rid of things. So if you've got lots of multiple items that you keep buying, let's use those up. Let's know what we've got in the cupboard, so we'll get some kind of inventory going on so we know exactly what we've got, so we can use it and not keep buying it. Because I have noticed I keep buying lots and lots of vanilla flavouring, for example. We're going to write down what we've got. We're going to find solutions for using them up. We're going to get rid of things if they're out of date. We're going to clean the cupboard, make it all orderly, and then start planning and making something with those items so that we can get some order. It's all about decluttering and saving money as well, and not buying what you don't need. So I hope you're going to enjoy this video, and it will give you a tip or two. If you've got any tips, please leave a comment in the box below. So let's get sorted, to declutter, get more organised, and stop wasting money on things that we either have already got or we certainly don't need anymore. And I'll also share with you the tips that I've learned for saving money and how to buy things cheaper, and we'll talk about that in a later video. So let's get started. I'm going to take everything out and I'm going to see exactly what we have got, because that's the thing. Don't know really what we've got in here, and I'm going to then plan what we can do with it. And I'm sure I've got plenty of things that will be duplicated, so it's a case of getting them all out and then we'll work out what we're going to do with it. So take everything out of your cupboard. As I said before, do it one by one, because you know, if you've got a build-up of everything around the home, you'll find that it overwhelms you. So just do it one by one cupboard at a time, when you've got the energy for it. You know, it doesn't have to be all done at the same time, otherwise it'd just be too much. You can do it one shelf at a time if you think that, you know, that's going to be too much as well. It's a great idea as well when you take everything out to give it a good thorough clean, and also then you can put everything back all together. So even though I've taken one shelf out, I'm going to take the whole lot out because it's not organised as well as I'd like. So get it all out first of all, and then we can see what we're playing with. Right, so I've emptied the cupboard now, so I'm going to give it a good thorough clean. I'm going to use some antibacterial spray and get right on all the cupboards and give it a really good clean. Now these are very old, these. We've got this kitchen when we bought the house. It's not obviously a very nice spanking new kitchen, but I need to still clean it down properly. And they are made to be cleaned down, these surfaces. They are like plastic coated. And let that all dry nicely. Okay, so what we've done now is we've cleaned it all out. We've emptied it all out and we've cleaned it with antibacterial, and I'm going to leave it now so it just dries. And we're going to see what we've got, the contents of that cupboard, what we can do with it. So what we've got is lots and lots. This is what I started recently. I got a storage box that actually fitted into the cupboard, so I could put all my spices. And what I've noticed is I've got so many pots of cinnamon and cinnamon sticks. Now I use those extensively over Christmas, of course, like we all do, but I also use them in Middle Eastern cookery quite often. And I do like making breads with cinnamon as well, so we do like cinnamon, but there is an awful lot there, so I must be mindful and make something with the cinnamon. because that's a lot, and also put it on the list not to buy any for a long time. So I've got some orange flower water left, lots of different things like all my different herbs and spices. So I've got ground mace, nigella seeds, sesame seeds, juniper berries and whole cloves. Lots and lots of flavourings as well in here. Some I haven't been able to use for a while. Lots of orange. I do like orange flavouring, but there's some nice unusual ones I've bought as well, apart from a lot of vanilla, and that is lavender. I've got lavender and we've got rose. So in the summertime I want to make some lavender biscuits and rose, maybe sweets, and infuse something. So I do need those. We've got some little sweetie kind of, sprinkle things I got with the gingerbread house kit that we got at Christmas, and we didn't use them. And then there's lots of corn flour, a lot of condensed milk, so I think it's fudge time or millionaire's slice time. Juniper berries, we need that. This one's mace, don't use that a lot but still use it. More cinnamon of course. Cloves, lots of honey and jam, mustard seeds, they can go in another savoury cupboard, so I'll put those to one side. A little bit of egg replacer if we run out of eggs. Mincemeat, maple syrup, icing, herbal tea. I've not used that yet. I want to use that. It's such a floral tea. I thought that would be really nice, like a rose tea. Then we've got black treacle left over from Christmas cakes, 1 1/4 custard, some a Tory suet, cocoa powder, cherry syrup, rose water, orange blossom, some nice dried raspberry bits, walnuts, more rose petals for tea, and mixed chopped nuts, and some elderflower cordial. So the first thing we've done is we've got everything out. We've cleaned the cupboard, and then what we're going to do is we're looking at those items, aren't we, and see what the dickens we're going to do with it all, because clearly there's more items there than we would need, but also there's items there that we could do something with. So what we're going to do is we write everything down on a piece of paper now, like an inventory board. Get yourself a book, because this is all useful. And what I'm going to do is start at one side. I'm going to write down everything that's in my cupboards, and I suggest you do that with all your food cupboards, so that each week you find out exactly what you have got in your cupboards and you don't overbuy. And also you can then start to plan your meals around those items. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write everything down, and then we're going to have a look at what we've got and see what we can make from them. Yeah, so I'm going to write those down now, and then in a moment we'll discuss what there is and what we can do with them. Just wanted to come on and show you how beautiful these are now. And I got this from a thrift shop recently. It was a nice little copper pan. I think it was about £4.50 or something like that. And I've popped 2 hyacinth bulbs in, and something else actually that's popping up. I don't know, it must have been an odd bulb in the soil, so we'll see what that is. But they're coming out now. The pink doesn't smell very, very strong. I do love the blues and the purples, and this one now is just about to flower, and this is a purple too. And I think that smells, because the little flower here smells, it's going to be beautiful, but it just brightens your day, doesn't it? So just a simple thing. So I'm going to probably take you around the thrift shop in other videos, giving you ideas of what you can pick up for cheap to decorate your home. Well, that'll be in another video. But yeah, just wanted to show you that spring is on the way. Even though it's such a gloomy day today, and forgive me for the light here, it's very, very dark outside. Yeah, there's hope, isn't there? Spring is coming soon. A few daffodils as well, just bulbs in a pot, in a little pot, growing nicely. They're pretty as well. Right, back to making the list. Right, so I've grouped them all together now, And we have got all the flavourings. There are vanilla. Then we've got a little bit of almond. So I'm running out of that. So that needs to go on a list. I need to buy some more of that. Lavender and rose, which isn't used much. Dusting of salted caramel, which isn't used much. And all these are orange, Madagascar orange, which I like. And these are your sprinkles, of course. Okay, so what that's flagged up for me, just looking at them, is I've got a lot of orange. I've got enough vanilla. I haven't got much almond at all. So that'll go onto my shopping list. So we need to start making the shopping list, and that will be another video about making shopping lists so you're not overbuying. So we'll write that down now. This is the box they came in, and this wants a wash because it's got a bit of cocoa powder or some cinnamon powder, sorry, in there. So that's going to go into the sink now. Then we have got in here, I've put them all together now. So we've got sesame and caraway seeds, juniper berries, ground ginger, 2 ground gingers. So let's see if I can pour one of those into there. If not, put that at the front, so we use this one up first, obviously. 4 lots of cinnamon sticks. So we don't need any of those next year for Christmas. I think I might write that in my diary so that in November I don't get tempted to buy lots more cinnamon sticks. Then all these cinnamons, I mean, this is ridiculous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to have to address that. Then we've got mustard, nigella seeds and nutmeg. And then cloves and mace. More cloves. Citric acid for making elderflower cordial. 3 tins of condensed milk. And then I've put all the jams, preserves together. So we've got golden syrups and jam. So what I've done, I've grouped them all together. Fruits, powders, and all the nuts. So then I've got my inventory here. Okay, so I've wrote everything down in groups. So elderflower cordial, rose water, orange flower water, walnuts, almonds, chopped nuts, coconut, chocolate cocos, the dried raspberry bits, icing sugar, all the icing pens, and piping icing, rice pudding, corn flour, suet, custard powder, baking powder, bicarbs, egg replacer, golden syrup. So you're getting the idea, putting everything in the groups. That way now we know exactly what we've got. I've not itemised, have I, all the spices, so I need to put that down. So I'll put that on there as well. So when you know then what's in your cupboard, you can then keep this. You can tick it, you can delete it if you don't want to use anymore or buy any more, but you could use this when you do a shopping inventory at a later stage. But for this now I know exactly what I have got in that cupboard and what I now need to use up. So checking this, what I'm going to do is find out now what we can make with all these items and get rid of some of them, okay? Especially the items that are at date. So what I'm going to do now is we need to look at the date of all these items, okay? So when you've got them all grouped up like that, go through everything and check the date, because if some of them are out of date, then they won't throw it. So this one, let's have a look at this. What date's on here, for example? 5th of February 2025. So go through all your items and check if there's a date on them. Some things might not have a date on them. For example, these pens, they've not got a date on them. But go through everything one by one. If anything's out of date, throw it away. Check the date. Write it all down. If it's at date, then use it. Make something with it, and we'll go on to that shortly. So I'm going to check all the dates and then I'll pull everything up that is at the date or out of date, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do with that in a minute. Right then, the good news is the only things that are out of date now are the egg replacer. I'm going to throw that in the bin with it being a dried egg powder. The Atura has got 1 month left on it, so I'm going to put that in the fridge and I'll make some dumplings and stew probably next week. And then this powder here is dark cocoa powder. That's gone out of date December. Now I don't think cocoa powder is dangerous if it is out of date really, but I think I'll throw it just to be on the safe side. Looking at a normal cocoa powder container, what it says here, let's have a look. It doesn't give you any guidance on, it just says used by best before the end of. It doesn't say, you know, used by date at all, so it may well be that it might not be as good, but there's nothing wrong with it. So into the bin goes that for sure. That's going to be used up. We'll do some something nice with that. Dumplings. So we've got lots of orange, so we could do with making something with oranges. And I've noticed I've got orange mixed peel that's been left over from Christmas. It's got a good date on it, but I think I'm going to put that to one side. That and some chopped nuts. that's sort of gelling together for me. And then we have got 2 packets of pitted dates. Let me have a look at the date on that. That is December 2024, so we're all right with that. That's good. This, I've had this quite a long time, but that should be but I've got that, and I've got icing sugar. So that and that, and we've got plenty of these walnuts. I bought quite a lot of these because they were reduced after Christmas in Sainsbury's, so I bought 2 packets because they were really reduced. I'm going to put that and that together, and so I'm hoping you'll know exactly where I'm going with this. I'm thinking coffee and walnut cake. So a little bit of baking today, I think, with that. And still going to have a lot, aren't we? But, you know, it's all right, it's all in date. But I've got this now. I've got this list, and I need to stick to this, okay? And I need to try and make sure that everything that I cook, because we do like a little bit of sweetness here, we like to be baking and making biscuits and cakes and scones and things like that ourselves instead of buying them in, to make sure that I look at this list and think, right, what I'm going to do, and we'll make this, this and this, you know. So next week I think we'll maybe have a go at this. Well, that is the December 2024, so there's plenty of time on these anyway, so we don't have to use anything up. It's just the things that are getting near to be mindful of, to be used up. So to recap what we've done then, so cleared the cupboard, washed it all, inventory of all the items, made ourselves a list, looked at anything in date and disposed of anything out of date, and been mindful of anything that is nearing date to use that first. Okay, suggested things to make with some of the items and start making them. Next week I've got almond, I've got ground almonds here, and I have got raspberry jam. So if I get some raspberries, I could make make some pastry. I can make a nice almond and raspberry frangipane, and that'll be that out of the way. And so it goes on. So we're all right if the cupboard is quite full, providing we're using it up. I'll make a mental note that I'm not to buy anything in at all, only eggs and butter for baking, and keep an eye on the flour. But for flavourings, I'm all right, aren't I? Right, so I'm going to get everything back in some kind of order now, and then I'm going to bake and make a few items with those things that we've put aside. I'm also going to put a nice new shopping list on the fridge of what I want. Be mindful of that inventory, and what we'll do now is then go into the next lot of cupboards and we'll do exactly the same. So any food cupboards that you have, do everything like we've just done with this one. Take everything out, check it for date, check the items, write them down on the paper, and then think of how you're going to use them up. What I'm going to try and do is, when we've got a whole list of an inventory of all those foods, then we can start planning what we're going to eat. Thus saving ourselves a lot of money in the long run, because we will be able to have a smaller shopping trip in the weeks to come by using up mindfully what we've already got. Okay, so I hope this is useful for you. I'm going to come back shortly and we'll do some baking. So just to show you now, I've sorted all the cupboard out. It's looking much clearer and cleaner and organised, and I know now what I've got in there. And what you can do is, on the inside of the cupboard, you could stick something like a magnetic board or with a inventory list on it, so therefore you could keep that up to date, and then using that update it as you use it, and also then you can go on to placing items on your shopping list that you will require. So hopefully that's good. We're going to start baking now. So I've got my hair up and I'm going to get an apron on, and then we'll start baking with these items that we've taken out of the cupboard. Okay, so remember, out of the store cupboard we have got some orange rind and some nuts, and we really need to use some of this Valencia orange extract, which we've got 4, so I need to do that. So orange, mixed peel, few few nuts. I'm thinking maybe a nice shortbread biscuit for that. That'll be very nice. And remember, we had half a box of icing sugar, walnut halves, and coffee. Now you can use any kind of coffee, instant coffee. If you have instant coffee, you can put 2 heaped tablespoons in a mug with a little bit of boiling water to melt it down, and then that will be a good coffee, strong coffee flavouring for coffee and walnut cake. And I've just got some of this, and we're using it up so it just saves time. But I just use normally instant coffee normally, or a filter coffee, but make sure that you don't put too much water in it. You don't want to have your cake, you know, with too much water. So just a couple of heaped tablespoons in the bottom of a cup, a little bit of boiling water to melt it into like a runny paste, so you can actually pop it in your sponge cake. So I'm going to do both of these recipes, and I'll show you at the end how I do it. I'll start with the coffee and walnut cake first. So I'll bring you down so you can watch. Right, so getting everything ready first. A round cake tin, I usually use an 8-inch or a 10-inch one. I've popped one of these round cake liners in. I find it really easy just to pop one of these in these days instead of greasing your cake tin. They're so simple. They're about £3.50 for a box of about 25. I think I've got these in Tesco, but all supermarkets probably will have them. Save a lot of time. So pop that in my tin, get your oven preheated to 180, gas mark 4. Now, so unfortunately my oven makes a humming noise. If you can hear background noise, that's my oven, I'm afraid. It's a fan oven and it does make a noise. So everything is done by weight. Very easy. So using my trusty Kenwood food mixer, just give it a rinse. And into the bowl I will put 250 grams of baking margarine. I generally use stuff with some comparable fat. I'm going to put 250 grams in. Whatever weight you use, it's the same with sugar. You want to match all the ingredients weight for weight. And then into the food mixer, your butter and your sugar, and beat until it's nice and white and fluffy. Meanwhile, I'm going to weigh my eggs and make sure that they are around about 225 to 250 grams in weight with their shells on. So we've done our butter and our sugar in the food mixer, and it's nice and blended lovely. All straight down the sides as well, so that it's all incorporated. For now, that's great. This now is the time when you put your eggs in. Traditionally, you used to put your eggs in as well as your flour, bit by bit. But I found you can just put the eggs in, and even if, like traditionally, it curdles, it doesn't matter because it comes out beautiful anyway. So if I were you, with your egg, I would just crack it into a bowl. Just rinse the bowl out of it, have the shells in and wash it. So crack your eggs into a bowl to make sure that you haven't got any shells inside first. But if you've had your eggs for a while, you can smell them and look at them. Make sure that they are still fresh. So I'll put that straight back. So again, mix it again with your spatula. Keep stopping and mixing. And now I'm going to put the coffee essence in. So remember, last time I said 2 tablespoons of coffee powder, mix into a runny paste. I'm just putting like 2 great big squirts of this in, same thing. I wouldn't go out and hunt for this. Right, I've beaten it all together and I'm going to incorporate the flour now. You can sieve your flour. I recently spoke to some professional baker who said that there wasn't actually an absolute need to sieve your flour, but they said no, because there's enough baking powder and things like that added. But what they do it for, to make sure that there's no bits left behind. So in a domestic kitchen like ours, you don't need to do that. But if it's just something that you've always done, then you get into the habit. I've always done it, so I tend to do it. But he said no, but in commercial kitchens they do this because they're getting things out of huge vats of flour, and sometimes little bits can be in the flour from doing that, and so that's why they sieve it, so that they don't get any little tiny bits, or the flour could be kind of hard in places, so they're sifting it out so that it's all fluffy and, you know, fine. I didn't know that. You know, there might be some particles of hard bits of where a droplet of something has fallen into the flour vat, and so they're making sure that nothing gets into the finished article. So we'll incorporate it by going round in a circle and just making sure that all gets incorporated. You don't want to knock all the air out, but you don't want bits of flour also not to be mixed in. So when you can't see any blobs of flour anymore, you know that it's mixed in, and it should look something like that. And now we'll put it in our prepared cake tin, and we'll bake it at 180, gas mark 4, for just around 1 hour in the centre of the oven, and that's going to be our coffee cake. Now, you can put walnuts in as well, but I tend to put them on the top for decoration, so that if people don't want them, they can just pick them up. And I'll see you again in an hour and show you what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. Right, the coffee and walnut cake is in the oven now, and now with the orange and the orange extracts, I'm making a simple shortbread, and then I'm going to put the orange mixed peel in it as well. And I've taken the recipe out of this lovely book, Susanna Blake Tea Parties, and it says a strawberry and cream shortbread biscuit, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to taking the shortbread biscuit recipe, which says 115 grams of unsalted butter and 60 grams of caster sugar, and I put those together and I put them in the food mixer and whip them up so they're light and fluffy. Then I've added about 4 drops of this, which is the Valencian orange extract, and I also added 2 little drops of orange blossom water. You don't need that, this is just beautiful and as it is. And I've mixed that all together now, and now into that I'm going to incorporate 180 grams of plain flour. Keep wiping all the sides of the butter down, otherwise it'll just collect and it won't all incorporate into the flour. Always use real butter for this, because the beauty about the shortbread is butter gives it that lovely light and crunchy consistency. Turn it up so it's a faster speed, and it will come together in a dough. Let me show you now what I mean by dough. It's all come together, it's not in little bits, and the beater has got it all together, and I've just stopped it just before it went into a massive bowl, because I thought I'll do that. And at this stage, this is when you want to just put now your orange mixed peels in, and I'm going to put probably about 1/3 of a packet. I'm just going to incorporate it all together in the mixture, wrap it in cling film, and I'm going to put it in the fridge to chill down for half an hour. If you haven't got that time, put it in the freezer. You can either do a ball, but what I found in the past actually is to kind of roll it into a log shape, like so, sausage shape, log shape, and put that in the freezer, and I leave that for about 15 minutes. I don't want to freeze it, I just want to make it very cold, and then we'll take that out, and then when it's that shape we can just chop it in rings, make it easier later on. Right, so while we're waiting for the cake to cook and cool, we're going to make the buttercream. I'm doing a simple buttercream. So I've got 180 grams of real butter in my bowl, and I'm going to put some of this in to use it up. So again, about another couple of tablespoons. And what then I can do with that is mix that together so the butter is very light and fluffy, because real butter often is quite hard to manipulate. It's nice to give it a good beating first. Put that in, it's quite hard you see, so I'll just beat that up for a few minutes. Right then, so I've whipped it up, the butter, and I'm going to add icing sugar to it now. I want at least double icing sugar to butter, so we'll go for 1 always double it up, whatever volume you have for your butter, double it up for your icing sugar. Then I have to put it bit by bit, otherwise it'll just flood and go all over the worktop. So just do it bit by bit. Right then, so let's have a good look at this. It's looking nice now, it's all come together. What you want to do is put some on the top for decoration and some in the middle of your cake. You don't want that much on the top, but you want it so that you can pop the walnuts on the top for decoration as well. It's come together really nicely and it will taste really nice and coffee flavoured. Obviously you can make it as strong or weak a coffee flavour as you like. Right, I'm going to get the cake out of the oven. It's been in the oven a good hour. I'm very pleased with that. It's rose up to just about nearly the top. Press my fingers down, there's a little bit of bounce back. You can hear it sizzling nicely. When you've made a lot of cakes, you kind of get an idea if it's right or not. If you want to use a skewer method, just put a skewer in and then take the skewer out of the middle and check that there's no wetness to the cake that comes out. It should be nice and clear. I'll show you that now, so what it should look like. Press it into the middle of the cake like so and check that the end of the skewer is completely clean. If it had lots of cake mixture on it, then you know that the cake is not yet done. That's done as I thought. I'm going to take it out and place it on top to cool down in the tin for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes you can remove it from the tin and put it on a cake wire rack so that it cools down nice, but always leave it in about 10-15 minutes first to cool down in the tin. So we're going to get ready for the cookies now. So a nice large baking tray, and I'm going to put some greaseproof paper on it as well so they don't stick. Put it aside. And the cookies have been chilling now for long enough so they're nice and chilled. And all we need to do is to cut them into slices and then put them on the baking tray into the oven on 170. So I've reduced the temperature down. I'm going to use the cling film just to cut it on carefully on the surface. You want to cut these into about 5mm thick slices. Place them on the prepared baking tray and sprinkle on a few nuts if you so require, or a little bit of sugar on the top. So I'm going to divide this up, try and make it sort of equal quarters, and then I think we'll have 3 hopefully equal portions. Okay. Try and place them evenly so they've got room to spread. Push them in a little bit into on the top. Might fall off. You do half of them, I think. And then just scattering suggested. And we'll place those in the oven. I'll show them you in about 17 minutes time. So just a quick shot of the cupboard now, looking much tidier of course and organised, and I've brought a few things to the front to keep an eye on what I need. So all the orange is at the front and the nuts now are all at the front, and I know that I'm going to be doing something with the condensed milk, but I can see that, etc. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm just waiting for the biscuits to come out of the oven and the cake to cool, and then I'll show you what they're like and also put the buttercream in the cake. Right, let's get these lovely biscuits out. They smell delicious. And hopefully they will taste as lovely as they smell. And we've got a nice lot of cookies. Right, so I've just brought them out of the oven and they're looking absolutely lovely and delicious and very nice and deep. So they'll have a nice sort of crunch but a nice soft centre. I'm going to taste one in a moment and see what it's like. Tastes absolutely delicious, really lovely. I'd really recommend it. I've had the one with the nuts on. Very soft inside and nice and sort of slightly crunchy on the outside. You could make them a lot bigger if you wanted to. I'd really recommend that. Right then, the next part is to decorate the coffee and the walnut cake. Using an icing bag and an icing nozzle, cut off the bottom of your icing bag and push the nozzle inside. Turn down the edges. Get the deepest cut you can find so that you can fill it easy. And pop the icing bag edges around them up. Okay, and then you can open it up and put the icing inside easy. Right, now to cut the cake. So what we're going to do is try and cut the cake evenly across. Right, I have a tool that actually can cut a cake evenly across. Unfortunately, I've lent that to a friend of mine, so I'm just going to cut it the traditional way. So you just want to carefully go halfway in. Keep turning as you go along so you make sure that it's round about half way, and then into the middle. And then we want a nice flat plate to put the other half on. And what I'm going to do with this is put a piece of paper on the plate, and I'm going to put the top half on the paper on the plate. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to decorate the top and then be able to get it back on to the centre. And what I'm going to do with this bottom half is put it straight on the display tray that I will serve it from now, so that we don't have to transfer it anymore and risk breaking it. Now I'm going to do this, what you might think the wrong way around, and decorate the top. So I want to have some buttercream left. I want to be very sparing with this, and using this, it's like a star shaped top, I'm going to pipe some florals on the top, just simple, so that we can stick the walnut pieces nicely on. Put quite a bit on, put one in the centre as well, and then we know exactly then what buttercream we've got left, and we can put it all in the middle. Just literally go round and round. You don't need to do this, but as it's in the piping bag, then obviously it makes it a lot easier to do that. Try and get as much out as possible, and then we can pop on, so, and then get the walnut halves. Try and put a nice big half on each portion. That's it, lovely. And we'll have a little light dusting of icing sugar on the top. And I want to control that icing sugar, I don't want too much. So I'm just going to use a tea strainer for that. Just a little dusting around. And we're done. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you've enjoyed the process of sorting out the cupboard and also making use of what's in the cupboard. But I think decluttering that cupboard has really worked out really well. So I'm hoping that you've enjoyed it. Please give it a like and a thumbs up, and I hope to see you again with more storage and decluttering and making, creating, sewing, baking videos to come. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like me to see me do some thrifting at charity shops and what I do to upcycle things that I find, or how to find things cheaper and how to save money on your shopping, please leave a comment in the comments below, or any other ideas that you think you'd like me to do and to show you. If I can do it, I will do so. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye now.